Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, let's dive right in, because today we are taking a really hard look at a concept that our culture has completely romanticized. You know, when you picture a wild horse, you probably see this majestic creature, right? Galloping freely across the American West, wind in its mane, just living a life of pure, unbridled liberty. But the reality? Well, it's absolutely grueling. The source material we're unpacking today breaks down exactly why being born as a wild horse is way less of a fairy tale and much more of a brutal, lifelong battle for survival.
I mean, think being a wild horse is a glamorous life of ultimate freedom. Let's literally put you right in their horseshoes. Imagine just dropping to the ground, taking a warm hug from the dirt, and suddenly you were born smack dab in the middle of a wide open field. Your mom gives you a few licks, nudges you to stand up, and you've got these wobbly spaghetti legs. You do a couple of face plants, and honestly, you end up looking like someone trying on high heels for the very first time. It is an immediate, incredibly clumsy crash course in gravity.
Part 1. Welcome to the Wild. Finding your footing. Think about the relentless cycle of your new biological reality. It goes super fast. You go from a shaky newborn to facing down predators and eating grass at just 4 months old, to literally being exiled at 2 years old. If you manage to survive that, you hit your absolute peak strength around age 5. But by age 12, you're already facing your final decline. It's a rapid, totally unforgiving timeline, and every single phase brings entirely new threats to the table.
Let's talk about your very first environment. Your herd is made up of about 8 or 9 mares, and that includes your mom. Then there's the big guy watching over everyone, the lead stallion. He's the leader, the ultimate protector, and actually, he's your dad. You're also surrounded by dozens of other tiny, shaky foals who look like wobbly little adults. You spend your early days sniffing noses and bumping heads in this awkward, clumsy version of a handshake. So the main takeaway here is you're part of a tight-knit family, sure, but that entire unit relies on just one male for its safety.
Now let's fast forward to when you hit about 4 months old. You're kind of tired of milk, so you decide to try chewing on some green grass. Suddenly, you catch this sharp, really weird smell. You look up and bam! There's a wolf. But before your brain can even process the panic, the stallion is already standing between you and danger. He is snorting, he's stamping the ground, basically acting like a full-blown 4-legged alarm system. The wolf sizes him up, calculates the massive risk of fighting an angry 1,000-pound stallion, and just slinks back into the bushes like a ghost. That is exactly how your innocence ends, but it totally proves how essential that stallion's protection actually is.
For a little while, you settle into a nice routine. Summer mornings are carefree, munching grass, lazing around in the afternoons. But then a sharp bite hits the wind. Winter arrives, and literally everything changes. The lush grass turns dry and brittle, and those nice water holes shrink down to muddy puddles. Survival now means growing a thicker coat of fur, which, let's be real, isn't exactly armor, it just makes things a little less miserable. Instead of lazing around, you're now trekking miles through biting chills, watching the older horses scrape through snow with their hooves just to uncover tiny, scraggly patches of dead grass.
Part 2. The Bachelor Gang Years. Exiled from the herd.
Age 2. This is a massive, life-altering turning point. You've officially entered your juvenile phase, but growing up isn't at all what you expected. Suddenly, life feels like a never-ending parade of kicks and shoves from the stallion. Because he's the only adult male in the herd, he has absolutely zero tolerance for coming-of-age rivals. Simply put, he has had enough of you and your buddies.
So you're faced with a pretty stark ultimatum. You can either fight your dad for control of the herd, or you can hit the road. The survival logic here is pretty obvious, right? Keeping your limbs in one piece is for sure the smartest option. You are just a 2-year-old colt. You do not stand a chance against him. So the young mares get to stay, but you and your buddies get forcibly kicked out to wander the mountains alone.
But hey, you don't stay alone for long. You end up stumbling upon a roaming bachelor gang of about 5 other young stallions. It's honestly kind of like a roaming frat house, but way, way more violent. This group operates on a strict pecking order based entirely on strength. To climb the ranks, you literally have to challenge the horse directly above you, fighting these rough, bloody battles. At first, you just sit back, learn some moves, and take your knocks until you're finally big and tough enough to fight your way to the very top.
Part 3. Claiming your own herd. Leaving bachelor life.
Okay, so you and your gang spot a herd of mares, and their stallion is looking a little worn out. Your bachelor buddies are hyping you up. They know you're the strongest now, and honestly, they're essentially just pulling up grass like popcorn to watch the show. The ruling stallion sees you, and it's game on. It is a visceral, intense 5-minute brawl.
You're throwing hoof strikes, and then you suddenly realize, oh right, he has teeth too. The pain is intense. It's just a massive flurry of bites and kicks until you finally have to tap out, retreat, and lick your wounds.
Because listen, this isn't some Hollywood movie where you win on the very first try. The reality of these challenges is brutal. Your first attempt ends in a bruised retreat because the other guy was just too strong. After recovering, you go for round 2 against someone else. That usually results in more scratches and setbacks. You learn really quickly that earning a herd is just a grueling game of attrition. But eventually, you get that final try and it results in victory. You realize that every single scar you've earned has only toughened you up and made you sharper for this exact moment.
Part 4. Life as lead stallion. Success brings burdens.
By age 5, you've reached your absolute physical peak. You finally defeat a reigning stallion, inherit his mares, and claim their young as your own. Your old bachelor crew breaks up and they leave you behind. You are the boss now. But, well, welcome to your new life, where the grand reward for winning is basically non-stop, unrelenting stress.
So here's the really crucial point. This supposedly glamorous gig of leadership, it's actually a complete nightmare of responsibility. You are now the one raising your hooves to fend off wolves and mountain lions. You have to relentlessly fight off ambitious young stallions who want to steal your spot, just like you did. You're entirely responsible for scouring miles and miles of land to guide your herd to safe spots with enough grass and water. And when winter hits, your herd relies entirely on your veteran wisdom to survive those grueling, freezing treks. Yes, the mares will tend to your injuries, but make no mistake, you are a constantly exhausted, overworked protector.
Part 5. The final winter. Physical toll takes hold.
Age 12, you've fought more battles than you can even count. You've roamed these plains so often you literally know every single inch of them. But you're starting to really feel it. Your muscles ache deeply. Your legendary speed? It's gone. But out in the wild, nature doesn't care that you're tired. You still have to fight.
A young, energetic stallion from a bachelor gang stands before you absolutely brimming with ambition. You try to step up, to defend your family. But it's quick. Just like that, you are defeated. And honestly, the most heartbreaking part of all this? The mares, the family you literally bled to protect for years, they're just gone. Without so much as a goodbye glance. How is that for gratitude?
Think back for a second to those winters where you were packed tight in the center of the herd, sharing body heat just to survive the biting chill. Now contrast that with your current reality, seeking shelter by a rocky cliff, freezing, and entirely alone. There is absolutely no one left to lean on.
You really have to ask yourself, will your stored fat from the last season be enough to survive the biting winds completely alone? You're pushing forward through the freezing gales, scaling mountains by yourself, hoping you can somehow protect yourself now that you don't have a herd to look after. Your body is failing, and the elements out there are completely unforgiving.
And then we reach the climax of this grueling journey. You're huddled under that cliff, freezing, and you look over. An old enemy has returned. It's the exact same wolf you taught a lesson to so many times in the past when you were at your absolute peak. Only this time, he spots you alone, highly vulnerable, and he's brought friends.
As the source material so bluntly puts it, what a way to go. Dinner for a bunch of mangy wolves. It is a haunting, totally stark end to a life spent constantly fighting. When we actually strip away all the romantic myths, we're left with a relentless cycle of survival, violence, and ultimate isolation. So, after seeing the true, brutal cost of their existence, is the wild horse's life really the ultimate picture of freedom, or is it just a lifelong sentence to the harshest elements of nature? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the myths around you.